What is the move? We are
What
back.
What is the move?
I don't even know what episode we're on.
This is six.
Okay.
This is 6.
Episode 6. Welcome back.
We're rolling.
Yeah. What's going on, guys? Nice rainy day we're having.
Yeah. Very cloudy here. Depressing.
Cloudy with a lot of rain.
Yeah. Yeah. Not the best day.
Alex is sad today.
I'm in my cozy outfit.
Yeah, you came in
Got my slips on.
I know. I was like, wait.
Got my slippers on.
Are you ready for work today?
I went on break and got myself all ready, and I walked in, and I was like, oh, they're sleeping. Not really. It's so quiet and dark.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we got a really fun topic we're going to talk about today.
Yep.
And I think it's basically going to be stories that explain to all the listeners and the viewers right now about how we as a human got to where we're at now and what made us the way that we're at, like what made us what we are now, right? Like what experiences did we have to go through, or the big one, like what big life-changing experience that we went through. So,
let's do it.
So
We're getting deep today.
Yeah, we're getting deep.
Want to play like rock, paper, scissors?
I think we're going to start with Jordynn first.
Oh, who decided that?
Yeah, I just decided right now.
I was totally waiting for you to start.
You want me to talk first?
No, it's fine.
All right, so Jordynn, tell us about one point in your life that was the most life-changing experience you've ever had, and what made you what you are today. A boss-ass bitch.
A beast.
No, I'm just kidding. Wow. There's obviously a lot, but there's one significant moment that stands out to me in the sense of me just kind of getting out of my shell, out of my box. So to kind of back up and preference the story, but growing up, I was always a follower. I wasn't necessarily a leader. I had friends, but I was always like in and out of different friend groups and kind of bouncing around. I never really knew exactly where I belonged or even what I wanted to do. And then just took me to my next part of life, which was bartending and the restaurant life, and all fine things, but just not necessarily the best people to be around sometimes. So then I was kind of going into this dark little negative circle, but the specific experience itself that helped me kind of get out of that breakthrough and kind of find my people, which helped me find my leadership skills and just helped me with mental development and getting stronger that way. And really what helped me get here, along with other things, was when I started posting on Instagram, I was reached out to by a man named Kyle, which Logan knows.
Love Kyle.
Yeah. Kyle, if you're watching this.
Shout out Kyle.
Yeah. So I got approached by, his name is Kyle. He worked for First Form. So I am still with them after 5 years. I'm actually in my 5th year now, but he kind of like just started chatting with me. He wanted me to become a part of the community, and I did. And, then eventually 6 months later, I wasn't really taking it seriously. I was like, who are these people? Like, everyone's so happy. Are they fake? Like, what? Like, who's really like this good of a human, right? And this interested in me of like just, I don't know, helping me grow and things like that. So the biggest like risk I ever really took too, and then the most life-changing moment specifically at this time was out of FOMO. So every year First Form does, it's called Summer Smash, and it's this big festival. It's a great time. Logan went last year. Yeah, Logan had the time of his life. And it's really just, I want to go.
Let me in.
So it's really Summer Smash, for anybody that doesn't know, it's a big festival just full of a lot of really great people, a lot of hardworking people, a lot of very strong people with a very diverse background. Every single person, we all have been through something, right? And something that, good, bad, whatever it might be. So anyways, I just went out there with a group of strangers, and I stayed with this group of strangers, and I found my people, honestly. So I came home from that trip, and I had what I felt like were true friends for the first time. And mind you, these were all strangers that I just spent a weekend with, and they all are still my friends. This is five years later. I tell you guys all the time, joke around and say, like, you're my only friends here, because, I mean, it's kind of the truth. They're all in St. Louis or in Maine or in Kansas City and just kind of all over the state. So that specifically was the one moment where I left that trip and I have never been the same person since. It's always been working to grow to some extent, to develop, to my highest self. And it all stemmed from buying that Summer Smash ticket.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So did you get any advice did you get one specific piece of advice from anybody on that trip that really stuck with you to this day?
Oh, man. I mean, he kind of says it every year, but Andy Frisella, the president and CEO of First Form, in his speech, which I also believe he even mentioned it in this year, but, the point of Summer Smash is to all come together and be together and celebrate all of our hard work. But every single year, you should be a different person when you come back. You should, in the sense of a better person, right? Kyle actually has said this to me before, is I want you to look back on yourself a year ago and cringe at it. Because if you do, that means you're growing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember they said that at the last Summer Smash, too. They're like, you guys are going to all come back next year completely different.
And it's honestly, it's all really tied together, and, I'm not going to go too far into it, but that was my first Summer Smash. And then every single year, every single summer, there was something else right after Summer Smash that, changed my life. And this last Summer Smash that you and I went to, when he said that, in that moment, I stood there, and I was like, I have to make a very significant change in my life. And that's when I came home, and I walked away from a 12-year relationship and every single thing I knew, and started completely over at 29 years old, not knowing anything. So coupled with that was the second most significant moment of my life to get me here. But I don't think I would have gotten there if I hadn't gone to that first Summer Smash. Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It's great.
My heart's racing.
Yeah. It's all right. Hey.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I mean, this stuff is hard to talk about, but
it is.
I think it is good for
very relatable.
That I mentioned it before. We all go through stuff. There's tough parts of all of our lives, and so this last summer was 100% the brink of my life changing, and you guys were both there for that. Logan especially.
Things developed very quickly after that.
It
was a quick. I feel like it was a quick turnaround for you.
Yeah.
Again, it was less than a year ago. If you really think about it, it hasn't even been a year yet.
Yeah.
So the fact that people grieve about this stuff for a lot longer than you let it, So
for sure.
Yeah.
You just kind of got right back up, and that was something I always kind of told you too. It's I think you're just going to excel.
Yep.
I think that's something that I always knew in the back end, is if I could make it happen to where I do leave, then I'm just going to be what I've always dreamed of being. And that sounds so, I don't know. I feel like sometimes that doesn't sound great, but it's not like my situation was awful, but it wasn't the situation for me to be in, to be my best self. And I knew that at my core. So yeah, Summer Smash changed my life 5 years ago. It was like that. It's kind of it was like a boomerang effect, right? I heard Andy say that first summer. He said the second, he said the third, he said this was my fourth. Last year was, and it just smacked me in the face of I'm not fucking doing this anymore. I'm not, living my life being this big or, kind of made to feel it. So
what's crazy is both experiences that have changed your life all revolve around Summer Smash.
Absolutely. Summer Smash is I always relate it to my personal New Year. Everybody celebrates January 1st, and I do too, of course. You set New Year's goals and things like that, but my year restarts after I'm back at home with my people, which is in St. Louis at First Form. And it's just, it's
awesome.
best.
I remember you talking about it too. You're hyping it up. You're I'm telling you, this is a life-changing experience. I'm I've been to a festival before. I'm all right, let's see.
What did you think about it?
Oh man, it was just like you said, you just can't put it into words of the feelings that you get when you're there. you're surrounded by like-minded people that think exactly like you do. And, you know, again, I tell people all the time, you know, this is a festival, so they had artists performing and stuff like that. But right after the last act was done, you see everybody reaching down and like picking up cans and garbage and throwing it away. And it's like, you don't see that at all, you know? So it just shows that they developed a standard and everybody lives by that standard. And you're around those same types of people. So super cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Were you, when Kyle first reached out to you, were you pretty hesitant about going with First Form? Or was there anything
I thought
like,
he was a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
He knows this too.
He is.
No, I mean, yeah, he is in the best way. No, I was like, what, you know, I thought it was very interesting, and I had just started getting kind of actually into social media at this point. This was right at the beginning of 2020. So we'll say like February, March of 2020. And, you know, this guy kept like liking my posts, and he commented a little bit, and I saw he worked for First Form, and I had heard of them. I had taken some of their products. I knew they did like an athlete search program and stuff. And so anyways, he wanted to like hop on a Zoom call, and that was my first professional Zoom call ever outside of any, for a small point in time, I did some Zoom with school, but yeah, so I can remember on that call at first, I was like, this is interesting. And he told me about the company, he told me about what it looks like. And I remember on that call, like I cried. Like he asked me some questions that were just like, nobody's ever asked me these questions before. And I say it a lot too about like what drew me to you even is you were the first person at home that I found that was like the people back in St. Louis, right? Like you asked me some of these similar questions. You lived your life in the same way and just had that genuine, you know, care for somebody. So anyways, yeah, I walked out of that call and I walked up to my ex now and I looked at him and I was like, I think I just signed up for like a pyramid scheme. And you know, to each their own, those things are fine. I'm not like knocking on pyramid schemes. It's not though. It's absolutely not a pyramid scheme. It's just a partnership.
Yeah,
with
you had
really
no
dope
idea
company.
at that point.
I had no idea, and to the point to where I didn't take it seriously. And then Kyle started a small group, and then, you know, we were on Zoom calls every week, and then I heard some of the girls talking about Summer Smash, and I was like, what's this? Wow. I'm like, I suffer from FOMO, like, all the time. Me on Alex's PT table the other day. What are you guys talking about? So, yeah, that's kind of
that's
my,
great.
That's awesome.
How I got here, in a sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And
shout out to First Form and Kyle. And
that relationship's just getting stronger, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
With them.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's been, I mean, I am entering, I think I just started my 5th year with them, which is a long time to be with any company
now,
or business, right? And yeah, we're going to have them here, First Form products here.
Wholesale.
Wholesale, yeah.
Look at that.
So we're going to have some energy drinks and some of their products, which are really, they're more than just a supplement company, though. Like, they have really great products, but they literally are a company that changed my life entirely.
We have to do
180.
At some point. We'll have to do, when we can afford it, a group trip to Summer Smash.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Absolutely.
With our members.
Business trip.
Business trip.
Yeah.
Business trip.
Everybody's got to get a ticket though. Those bitches are limited.
Yeah.
Like it's really hard. It's like it's the highest point of anxiety in every year for me is like making sure I get that ticket.
Wow, that's crazy.
So, yeah, but let's throw it over to one of you guys. You wanna
ping pong it over to Alex, or should I go?
So Alex.
Me?
Alex, let's hear it. What was the one experience or combination of experiences that kind of made you who you are today?
Yeah, I feel like there's been a lot, obviously, like anyone has, but mine is going to be a little bit more sad. So sorry to bring the mood down here, especially on this rainy day. But mine was actually probably when my dad passed away about six years ago now, which seems like it was yesterday. So it's crazy. It was 6 years ago. But I was at Central at the time when I found out, and like just the whole experience, losing a loved one, you know, is something that no one can really ever like prepare for. You know, you can't prep for it. You really can't know like how you're gonna react to it, what you're gonna feel for it. So it was just like me, my mom, and my siblings all talk about it now, that like the whole process going through it was just like a whirlwind. Like it's like I feel like the best way to describe it is kind of like a Twilight Zone. Like like you feel like you're in a nightmare like throughout the day, and then so like when you wake up you feel like you're in a nightmare and you're actually sleeping. So it's very odd as you're going through it, which I'm sure anyone that has lost someone can relate to. But with that being said, like throughout that process, I try to, looking back, I always try to think glass, half full type deal. Throughout the process, it taught me, my loved ones, my mom, like it taught us so much throughout it, how you can, like, even though it hurts and it kills you in the moment, and it's like you feel like you never will get over it, it's something that you eventually you do get over, you move past. And if you have people around you that support you and love you, it's something that you can either just choose to grow from, or you can just choose to, be in like a place of darkness.
That's a great point.
Yeah. So it was, like I said, it's something that just destroys you and kills you in the moment, but it's something that I grew from a lot with my family and my friends. And I would say it has made me into what I am today, because it's just, now I feel like I'm able to kind of think about things in a different light at this point. Whereas like I'm able to appreciate things a lot more. I'm able to appreciate like time with my family, time with loved ones. I always think like, we're all busy throughout the day. Like sometimes, I try to text my mom on a daily basis just to check in with her and see how she's doing. But we have those busy days, especially right now, where I'll like lose track of it and I won't respond to her. And then, that thing will be in the back of my mind. Like, always just reach out to your loved ones, always reach out to friends and family or that you care about, because you never know, you really never know. So it did teach me that life is short, and you want to just be able to let everyone know that you care about, rather than always trying to wait or put things off or get lost in like the busyness of life.
Yeah.
So
what was the best piece of advice that your dad ever gave you?
There's a lot. He would always, like growing up, he'd always say knowledge is power. He always strive for us to go far and do, what our goal or our dream was. Him and my mom, like I grew up in a household that was very, very, like concentrated on being respectful, being kind, always going out of your way to show love for other people. So I feel like not only my dad, but my mom as well taught me at a young age to just respect people, respect elders, and just always treat people with kindness. He always said, treat other people how you want to be treated. So I feel like that has carried me pretty far, especially with clients as well.
I think something cool that I know about you and Jordynn too, but something cool that I think that you're doing, like your dad was an inventor, right? Like he liked coming up with different like little tools or gadgets or just inventions. And so when I first met you, you would always have these ideas, like you just spitball them to me, like, oh, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think about I think you said like a leaf blower on the end of a broom or something like that.
I had lots. They're all on my phone somewhere.
I was like, wait, that's actually kind of genius.
Yeah.
But I always wondered where that came from. And when you said that your dad, you've shown you actually have some stuff here that your dad made.
Yep.
But like your dad made an ab roller, like however many years ago that was. But I was just like, wow, okay, this makes so much sense now. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's cool to think back on, everything that he taught me. And I'm grateful to say, like I said, I always like to look back thinking glass half full. So I'm grateful to say that I was able to spend, 22 good years with him. Whereas some people, when they lose someone, they're 2 years old, 3 years old, or you never know. Like it could always be worse. So I'd say for anyone that, has dealt with that or going through that, or, just always think of, always think of how you might grow from it, even though it's not going to seem like that way in the moment. And then just always appreciate the people around you.
Yeah. Obviously you have like a great mindset around it. How long do you think it actually took you to kind of think the way that you just kind of talked about?
That's a good question. Probably, I'd probably say like like a year to 2 years, I would say. The
Yeah.
first year was just straight up hell, honestly.
Yeah.
Were you still in school at this time?
Mhm.
So you were going to college? Yeah.
I just finished I think it was my junior year at Central, and we were about to go into summer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Take
so
that senior year off, or did you just get through it?
no, I got through it. I didn't take any years off of school. I plugged right into it. But that year was very challenging. I definitely spiraled. I drank more than I should, just because it helped in the moment a little bit, but then it led to not helping, obviously, during and the next day after. So like that first year was very challenging, and thankfully I had family and friends around me just to support me. Because if I didn't, that would have been very challenging.
Did you have any like instance where you were like, it was kind of like a switch went off in your head, like I gotta get out of this?
Yeah, I would say like a couple months in, or like shooting into that year mark, it was just, I was going into physical therapy school as well. So at that point, I just knew, like, I had always told my dad, like, my goal is to get into physical therapy school, and then I want to open up a gym, so it was very
so cool.
Yeah. So I just knew, like, I had to, get my head out of my ass at that point. And this is something that I've wanted to do forever. It's something that I knew I was going to do. So I was like, I need to either correct my life and change the course that I'm on, or I'm not going to be able to do anything that we had always talked about. So.
Well, I guarantee he's very proud of you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Because you're doing both now.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's awesome, dude.
It's crazy. I
great.
appreciate it.
All right.
What
Wow.
about you, man?
I don't know.
I know.
You gotta get
I'm
deep
like,
breath after
yeah.
that.
Sorry to bring the mood down.
No.
Not at all. I mean, we're getting deep. We're getting personal.
It's good.
I think it's
Yeah.
good for everybody to kind of know a little bit of who we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Besides,
Yeah. Besides
the
always putting a smile on
Right.
it.
110%.
yeah.
Let's go, guys.
which
Right.
we are, and we're happy to be, but it
Yeah.
doesn't. I think a lot of times, like having a personality, like we all do, it gets easy for strangers. Not that we care what they say, but to think that we're just always that happy and nothing bad has
100%.
ever happened to us.
100%.
But versus the fact that we choose to be like that.
Right.
Just a little sidebar too. Like, I feel like we're at a point too where, at least for me, I guarantee for you guys too, but we're starting to actually get to know our members and like
Super cool.
understand why they are the way that they are, and that's been super cool too, because it's just, again, it's a different perspective, right?
That has been awesome.
Yeah. I mean, we're all, now we say like we're all like-minded, but just the diversity of like everyone's background, it's like insane.
I always recommend to, if you do want to take anything out of this podcast, is ask the people closest to you, your friends, your family, your partners, your clients. If you're in a position where you do have clients, ask them their whys. That's one of the first things I ever did with Logan.
Oh, man.
He looked
That was
at me
stressing
like
me
a
out.
deer in the headlights.
What?
Like, who is this girl?
Why has no one asked me this?
Yeah, I mean, ask them their whys. I think that that's something that I kind of developed through First Form, and that's that call I was crying on with Kyle for the first minute. That was, ask people their whys. It just brings you closer together and really helps you understand that, like, we are like-minded in a sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, your turn.
All right.
Ping pong.
Yeah.
What
I'll
about
try to
you,
keep
man?
it pretty brief because I could talk about it all day, but just to preface it too. So, I mean, up to the point where I met you, I was always, I had some life changes throughout college that brought me out to this area because I'm from Kalamazoo area originally. And it was kind of like moving out here was kind of like a fresh start for me. I had started surrounding myself with people that were at the level I wanted to get to. So that was really inspiring for me. I started developing more like personal skills, like communication skills, stuff like that, because I was always like a sheltered kid. And so anyway, where I'm going with this is we, as a family, like I never really traveled that much. Like I took my first flight when I was like 23, I think. So, we would go to like Florida, a couple times, but never, that was probably the extent of it. So anyway, I had the opportunity come up to book a trip to Spain. And I booked it in 2023, at the end of 2023. And yeah, it was just kind of like that spur of the moment thing. I was like, I've never even had a thought about going to Europe, right? Like, if I wouldn't have met the people I've met, like, there's no way, even like no one in my family's ever gone to Europe. So anyway, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get my passport. I went, got that, and then booked my trip to Spain.
Why Spain?
And
Sorry.
it was an area that I was kind of familiar with, I guess, based on conversations with people. I don't want to get too specific. Okay, I was going to see a girl, but yeah.
We're both.
So,
But did you ever have any
like
history, like you wanted to go to Spain, or like that was ever in your
no,
your head
honestly,
or
no. Like, again, like I started, like, a lot of my friends to that point had gone to Europe and stuff like that, so I was getting familiar with like these places, and I guess the thought started to develop in my head, but there was never like a pulling the trigger.
Gotcha.
A push to actually do it.
Yeah, a push to actually do it until I
Yeah.
met this girl. But anyway, so that forced me to kind of book the trip, and then it was like 4 months out. So in between that time, things kind of fizzled out, whatever. And so I was like, oh wow, I'm about to go to Spain across the globe with. I didn't even have a place to stay at this point. I didn't book any
That's
place
crazy.
to stay.
I remember that the night before we were out and I was like, good luck. Like, what are you doing tomorrow? You're like, no idea. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know what the area was even going to be like. So I'm like, I'm not going to book somewhere and limit myself. So anyway, yeah.
By yourself.
I love it. All
So I
by
went-
yourself.
It was my first international trip. It was my first solo trip. And yeah, I didn't have any place to stay, so literally hopped on the plane. Again, at that point, I've only been on a few flights, so I hardly knew how to navigate an airport. So that
Airports
was
suck.
good. That was a good learning experience for me. But again, like all in all, that entire trip forced me to be out of my comfort zone almost the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So it helped me like develop different skills of like what to do in an uncomfortable situation or how to act and stuff like that. So
how to communicate too.
how to communicate.
Yeah.
So that was
Big
the
time.
biggest thing when I got to Spain. I actually didn't meet a single person from the U.S. So
Wow.
yeah, so I was definitely the minority over there, and I was like, wow, this is so interesting and to be in this position because here we're surrounded by a bunch of Americans. So
Yeah.
it forced me to have to like there was a couple of places I went that I had to speak Spanish because they didn't really speak good English. So I just used Google Translate for that. I knew a little bit of Spanish going into it, but
Were they accepting of the Google? Like, are people very accepting of that, or are they like turned off by it? When you're in?
So I think the answer is yes. Like, I think they actually like when people try to like when you actually try to like
Make an effort.
make an effort. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's what a lot of people were telling me up to that point. So I would go into these coffee shops or these food places and I would say hablas inglés. So, basically saying, do you speak English? And they would just say yes, or they'd be like, eh. And so then I would either like that would determine like, okay, can I just like order normal or do I need to like pull out my Google Translate real quick? And so anyway, that was cool. But it actually, by the end of the trip, like I was fully comfortable with speaking Spanish, like at least for what I needed, right?
Mhm.
It's awesome.
That's really cool. That's an experience that most people, I mean, even myself, probably never get to experience.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
complete vulnerable. Like people travel alone and things like that, which is a vulnerable sense in itself. But for you to like go to a new country, like you were like nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't
know.
even
No
communicate,
plans.
which
I
is
wasn't,
really, really impressive.
I
That's
wasn't
cool.
even like nervous either, which was weird. Again, being like,
Emotionless.
yeah, kind of, yeah. I mean, I was excited, but I also just like went through the airport like a robot. I'm just like, all right, I'm going to Spain. and so then,
That's crazy, dude.
but anyway, long story short, again, I could talk about this all day, but I got there, my little duffel bag. All I brought was a carry-on also.
Wow.
You were
stayed
gone
there
for
for
like
10
a week,
days.
or yeah.
10 days, brought a carry-on, that was it. And I'm just walking through the city with my bag, looking for a place to stay. And yeah, I ended up I booked a hotel. I stayed in a couple of hostels, but I met a ton of cool people, and like just the clarity I got to just seeing like how different a new culture is to me and stuff. I was like, wow, like this is crazy, and I came back here with a different perspective on life, and just, again, it forced me to develop skills that I probably never would have if I never put myself in that situation. So I've been able to apply those things to like my relationships here, my family, like business stuff.
From my perspective of it too, because we were pretty close then and like really doing MD and stuff. And I mean, you definitely came back like a more mature, like level-headed Logan, which was super cool to see. Yeah.
Yeah. See, it's like,
I just remember you had a huge smile when you came back, just like grinning ear to ear.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't want to leave. Like,
Yeah.
That was the first time. Like normally I'm like, I go on vacation. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm kind of ready to go home. There, I was just like, man, I could literally stay here for 3 times longer. Because I just kept, every day it was like, I'm learning something new.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part of Spain?
Favorite part? Easy. It was hiking to the highest point of the city I was in. I was with one of my friends that I met out there. He was from Canada. But, we hiked all the way up to the highest point in Alicante. And we got there just in time to watch the sunset. We bought some beers and just took them up there. And we just got to look out over the entire city and just watch the sunset.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
it was
so
insane.
cool. That's awesome.
So
was there any was there like one person or like a conversation you had that was like really memorable?
I think really a lot of them were, a lot of them that I had, like I met a lot of people from Germany. I met a girl from Switzerland. I met a guy from Australia.
Yeah.
The Canadian guy was, he was the one I spent most of the time with because we were kind of on the same itinerary too. And so him and I got to learn like a lot about his culture, and he was a big traveler, so he knew how to do this stuff. And so he was, just hearing about his experiences and all that, and just his perspective. Like he didn't even have a job.
Wow.
Like a lot of these people I talked to didn't even have jobs there. They just quit their full-time job and they're just traveling now. I'm like, what?
How?
Oh.
How do you?
Yeah.
But it's so like over there, it's just a different culture.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot more.
Not as driven by
It's not as expensive.
money and yeah.
Yeah, and that too. Yeah. Like they're there. Those people over there like are living to live life, not to work. So it was just really cool, and it definitely changed my perspective on like U.S. and stuff, and just like the 9-to-5 stuff. Like over there, they just laugh because it's like, we get 2 weeks vacation, and they get like at least 4 weeks, right? When they get hired,
You get like midday naps, right?
midday naps. Yeah. Siesta.
Let's start doing that.
Wait,
That was cool,
really?
too.
That's like
Yes.
a thing?
Yeah, siesta.
Siesta.
They like close down
Start doing
restaurants and
Every
stuff
day?
like that. Yeah, every day. I forget what time. I think it was around like 4 p.m.
And that's what they call it, siesta?
Yeah,
It's
they'd
like
be-
nap time?
Yeah, like
That's
that
so cool.
crazy?
they would all go home, rest, and then they would like
Start
dinner
finishing.
out there was like 9 p.m.
That's amazing.
So they
It's
would
like how we
yeah
I know.
they would open back up around
like
that
me,
time.
we
So
would-
Let's start just bringing in some nap time here.
I know. Hey,
Some
1 to 3
cots.
is, yeah. That's what I do sometimes when I go home.
yeah.
My 1.5 hours walk and nap.
So
That's
anyway,
amazing. I love
just
that.
to wrap things up,
It's
if
awesome.
you ever had the opportunity, you don't even need the opportunity. Just book a flight to Europe and just go. Like, just go. Like, you don't even have to have a place to stay.
grab your piggy bank and just go.
Yeah. Hey, you don't even need a job.
Don't.
Apparently.
You really don't. So, I mean, again, like coming from where I come from, if I could do it, anyone else can. So
Yeah.
that's the
Super
move
cool.
today.
Good
Wow.
stuff.
That's
Good
some
stuff.
good
Great
stuff,
stuff.
team. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Nice.
All right.
Cool conversations, not just about
Work.
the gym atmosphere. I think it's
Yeah.
like you said, it's just cool to dive into each other's personal lives and see like what created where we are at today.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What's
right.
the move?
Cool.
Stay tuned next week. What's the move?
Tell you what it is. Was I